Welcome to Crossroads. I'm your host, Judy Davis. Today on Crossroads, we're going to be providing information for women and young teens at a crossroad. The YWCA of Rochester and Monroe County seeks to empower women and girls to regain control of their lives and to get on the path to a healthy, successful future. The YWCA is here to help women and teen girls who are faced with personal crises, including homelessness and teen pregnancy. Each year, the YWCA serves over 1,000 women and children through its housing and teen programs. And so we're happy to have with us today Jean Carroll, who is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the YWCA. Welcome to Crossroads.
It's great to be here, Judy.
Well, for those who may not know, what is the mission of the YWCA?
The mission of the YWCA is to eliminate racism and to empower women.
Oh, okay. And how many persons do you usually serve each year?
Well, we serve about 1,000 people annually here in Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing that for quite some time. We've been around actually in the Rochester area since 1883.
Wow.
So we've gotten way past our 125th birthday.
Wow.
And, it's been quite an experience, at the YWCA and how the organization changes over time with what the needs of the community are.
Oh, okay. Now, what types of personal crises might a woman or a teen girl be going through that would bring them to your door?
Well, there could be a number of things, but one of the areas of business that we're in or service that we're in is housing. So, and we've been in that business since we started. Oh. So, right now in today's world, we have everything from emergency housing, transitional, and long-term permanent affordable housing. So, we have a range of services in that regard. But in addition to housing, we provide services to young women who are pregnant or parenting. And when I say young, we mean young. These are teenagers, and they're from 13 to 19 years old, and usually have an unexpected pregnancy. And we work with them, and we help to keep them on track. Keep them in school is our primary motivation.
Oh, okay.
And, help them on the next step. A crisis doesn't have to be your whole life. It can be just a time when things are in a bit of upheaval. And our job is to help those teens and the women who come into our housing program to get grounded, to have a safe haven, and to collect themselves, really, to rebuild their spirits, and to help them to discern what the next steps are for them.
Okay. Well, I was looking at your website, and I noticed that your motto is eliminating racism, empowering women.
Yes.
And it struck me, because it's the YWCA for women, and I said, well, why isn't it empowering women first, eliminating racism? So it seems like eliminating racism is critical to your mission, and maybe even more than empowering women. So I was wondering, could you talk a little more about that?
Well, what's on our building and what's on our logo is eliminating racism and empowering women. And we decided to really emphasize the eliminating racism part of our mission publicly, probably about 8 years ago. And it was, in fact, really a reaffirmation of work that we've been doing since the early 1900s that a lot of people are very unaware of. The YWCA of the USA, for instance, in 1915 had its first National Interracial Conference. So there were a lot of firsts that the YWCA over time has been involved in relationship to race, because often, earlier in the century when immigrant women were coming into the United States, there was a lot of racial discrimination against immigrants early on, Chinese immigrants. Everyone knows what was happening during World War II with Japanese Americans. And our YWCAs were there at the internment camps with the Japanese women to support them. So it's really about the dignity of that individual and recognizing their dignity and their humanity. And that has continued to be a thread for the YWCA throughout its history. And one of the things that we feel that we are really called upon today to be more of a voice related to racism. And so that's really why the decision was made to put that out there more boldly. Because we've been known as empowering women for a long time, but a lot of people didn't really know about our history or our engagement. And certainly here in Rochester, there are a lot of challenges, especially for low-income women, that we see every day. And they're challenged not only because of their income, but also because of their race. And so we feel that those things are kind of tied together.
Okay. All right. Well, I really wasn't aware of that. It's very interesting. Thank you. Another thing I was thinking about, the personal crises that you lifted up, such as homelessness or teen pregnancy. It seems that those are issues that maybe the church could also address. But there was something on the website about addressing needs that really kind of aren't being met in the community. So I wondered, is there kind of a disconnect? Does the faith community kind of concentrate on spiritual needs to the neglect of a person's physical, emotional needs, or?
I think the real issue is that the needs in our community are very great. So that it really takes everyone doing a part of it. And it's not one organization, whether it be a church or the YWCA. None of us can do it alone. It's that old proverb, it takes a village. And that is so true. And, even the young women that we serve, for the teen moms that we serve about 250 teen moms every year. But there are, close to 600 new births every year. So, we don't do it all. No one person, no one church, no one organization can take it all on. And we get support from churches in the community. We have seen such generous spirits in terms of, coming together. We had all of the beautiful plants that are out in front of our building were planted there by 2 churches in our community. And what's so important about that for the human spirit is when you're going into some place and you're feeling kind of down, if you see that brightness and that beauty in front of you, it just lifts you up. And so there's a lot of pieces to healing and to getting over a crisis that we all take into account.
Okay. Well, thank you. And that is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this show, because I'm also a minister in the community and wanted to try to get the issues out. So that it's going to take all of us to address everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we're going to be closing this segment. When we come back, we're going to hear more about the housing programs and teen programs that the YWCA has to offer. So don't touch that remote. Be back in a moment.